Today, this is not the case. Why? Because in 1950s, 60s, inventor was important. Entrepreneurial skill was not so important. Why? Because customer was ready to consume anything invented. They needed almost everything. You didn't need a set of skills to bring your invention to the market. But today this is not the case. Today, if you don't have the entrepreneurial skill to bring your invention to the market, then it means nothing. It means nothing. It means nothing for you and also for the government. Why? Because government cannot get VAT tax, or you cannot create new jobs if you cannot sell your product, isn't it? So becoming an inventor today is not important. Becoming an innovator is important. Anything invented, if it starts to sell in the market, it is innovation. So definition of, if you Google the definition of innovation, you will find hundreds, thousands of different definitions. My short definition is any invention which sells in the market is innovation. And today's innovators, unfortunately, have some challenging issues. Because today, not only the entrepreneurial skill, but also fundraising skills are also important, isn't it? So entrepreneurs of today have two keywords in their mind. One, customer. Second, money or finance, politely. But today's entrepreneurs have this challenge, but also have such kind of an advantage, because we have different sources of finance available for entrepreneurs, SME funders, startup funders today, from ICO to IPO. We have crowdfunding platforms, angel investors, VCs, co-investment funds, banks, public finance, stock exchange, wealth management institutions, family offices, different sources of finance available for entrepreneurs today. But one of them is different than others, and maybe the most valuable one. Which one, according to you? Because I have just counted angels. Why?
They come with expertise.
Exactly. Because they are putting more than money. They are putting their know-how, network, and the skills, the mentorship to turn money to smart money, to smart finance. So today, we will attempt to discover the challenging parts of this entrepreneurial, of this financial journey in the Balkans region with our dear distinguished speakers. I will just moderate the session, they will speak, and you will see how they are ready to speak, by the way, because they have so much to share with you. From entrepreneurial point of view, I think I also have to clarify one thing before starting, and then give the floor to the speakers. Sometimes we say entrepreneur, sometimes we say startup founder. What is the difference between startup founder and entrepreneur? Entrepreneur and startup. Why sometimes we use...
Entrepreneur figures out their own financing, and startup founders.
Okay. As a matter of fact, almost all answers are correct. But my answer is, let's say this is water. She brought water very on time, by the way. This is water. I am selling this water to make money. My dream is to sell this water as long as I live in this world, and my even grandson will make money by selling this water. This is a traditional mindset of making business. Okay, I am an entrepreneur. But if I am also dreaming to sell the company I established to sell this water, which is showing that I'm a smart entrepreneur, I'm a startup founder because making an exit as soon as possible is in my business model. In the first version, there is no exit strategy. In the exit strategy is just bankrupts. That's it. The second one is to sell the company. I will sell water, make money, and also the company. So I'm a smart entrepreneur, killing two birds with one stone. So this is the startup, this is the entrepreneur. So now I'm giving the floor to dear Katrina first, if you don't mind. Katrina, my question is a simple question. So give a simple answer, please. Because you will see now how she will give many reasonings. Let's say I'm an angel investor in London. I'm a British angel investor. And he is Tom on the Oxford Street. I'm also living around Oxford Street. And he has a business plan, business model, and he needs 200K for his business, okay? So he is around me in London. She is living in Tirana, in Albania. She has also almost the same business. Same business plan, same business model. She also needs 200K for the same business. Why I will invest in her, who is thousands of kilometers away, but in him, not in him? Why? Floor is yours.
Hi, good afternoon. So, as an angel investor, we come in a place where it's pre-revenue, pre-profit, pre-everything. So we bear the highest risk. And to the question of buy bars, if I'm in front of two founders with basically the same idea, because his question was, he's from London and he's from Albania. First, geography is not something that I determine, or I would single out a founder with, like whether you're from Asia or Albania, because when you invest in a pre-revenue stage, I want to look at the founder first. Even before I crunch the unit economics, I want to understand, have you experienced the problem you're trying to solve? Like in Albania, if you have the same problems you're solving, in terms of the weight of the problem in Albania versus in London, are you trying to solve a pain that you have experienced? Or are you coming from a place of, oh, I know a lot of my friends have experienced this, I want to solve it. Out of the unit economics, I have formulated an internal proprietary scoring system of how I score founders. So I ask the background, what do the parents do, the sisters do, I do. This group of questionnaires were not just taken out of thin air. This was formulated with a group of interviews from unicorn founders, VCs, hedge funds. We've also interviewed people who have placed investments in successful companies now, like Uber, Grab as well. Grab is in Asia, I'm from Asia. And this questionnaire gave us a pattern. After I formulated this questionnaire 3 years ago, it gave us, I noticed, knowing the founder from the inside out is very telling for me, because if I'm going to give you my capital without you proving that you could grow it, if I'm going to take that risk, the least that I need to understand is your character behind money. Because no matter how good of a founder you are, it's always been my principle that you cannot rise above the limitations of your character. I don't care how smart you are or how many patents you have. But if your history and your track record, so I want to know the things that have failed in the past, what have been successful, what have failed. I want to understand your background. There have been, we don't call it trick questions, but there are very revealing questions. You feel like you're answering a simple, where did you grow up? Or how was your childhood? But all of these things have been quantified, because I want all of the basis of my investment to be based on numbers. But at the same time, it's hard to also tell, for example, how do you measure character with 120 questions? But because of all the research we've done with a lot of VC funds, like what I've said, unicorn founders, there is a very unique set of questions there that we ask it in different forms, but they mean the same thing, and you'll be surprised that this founder would say yes to the first question, but after 10 minutes would say no to the other question, but they essentially mean the same. So that's when, like what I said, we want to look at founder quality first. Because for some, there's not even any economics to talk about. Yes, you can give me your TAM, your total addressable market. You can give me your projections. You can give me all of this. You can give me extrapolations of the numbers of how you want to perceive them if you raise funds. And I always want to understand, founder A, founder B, if you're not going to get money from me or from any investor for that matter, how will you raise capital? Where are you going to get the funding you need? And that one question is very revealing of so many things. So I'd like to understand when founders talk to me, and sometimes I ask them, do you need my money or do you need my advice? And ironically, for even for women and for men, I noticed that the negotiation skills at the beginning, it's also very telling. If you ask for me, like what Bybar said, 200,000, and I'm going to tell you, okay, 200,000 for 10% of the company, and you're offering me 5% equity, and I say, no, I'm putting 200,000 today for 10% equity. I look at everything, your body language. Do you say yes? Do you say no? Do you negotiate? I look at all of those things. And it's not a determinant of whether you're from UK or from Albania, whether I'll invest or not. Your answers, how you answer, these are going to be the signals I want to look for. So yeah, very non-tangible in my case.
I'm a businessman and an entrepreneur, as you say, and I'm investing in the Balkans for the past 50 years. And I like very much the area. Well, my biggest investments are in Greece, as I'm Greek as well, but also it was Yugoslavia, Tito's Yugoslavia. And I believe that there is a great potential in this area for investment, as long as we manage to create an environment that it will be more friendly than it is now for development. What we are missing in this area, and I talk as an insider, it is the ecosystem. We are missing from the school the learning of how to cooperate, of how to put money in the side, and how to work to achieve goals. As in this area, we grew up, especially my generation, with promises that we're going to work for the state, that we're going to be state employees. Therefore, zero effort, and this is bad. This is exactly what other countries that they consider to be more developed, like United States or UK, they don't have in their ecosystem. So yes, it's a fantastic area. Nowadays, we have to think green, so we have a lot of sun here. I mean, consider they are establishing solar panels in Germany. In Germany, the production of energy per square meter is exactly half of the production of energy per square meter in this area. Yet, in Germany, as we speak, they have more than 50 gigawatt installations of solar panels. Now, why I start from energy? Yes, it needs a big investment, but energy is independence. The moment you have your own energy, you are independent. And in this area, in the Balkans, we fought and we gave our blood for independence. You know that from the history. We have a great potential on the IT field, a great potential. Right now, you don't need to be in a shop on High Street in the United States or in London to make money. You can work from your house. Thanks God, we have a good internet all over this area, and we have satellite now because of Uncle Musk. So really, if we focus on this, there is a field that at the moment seems to be without borders. You can create everything, especially now with the artificial intelligence. If we talk about bigger investments, because it's a secure area, believe it or not, weather-wise it's very secure. I mean, if you compare it with Indian Ocean, or if you compare it with the Caribbean, forget it. It's a secure area because of the weather. It's a secure area because of the people living here with old culture. So guess what? The need for data centers as we speak is tremendous. As long as we use artificial intelligence, anything is not enough. I mean, all these data centers we have are so little, right? And we have the benefit of having cheap energy because of the solar and the wind, and also to have the brains here. We have brains which they move and they go abroad because our ecosystem does not really support them with peanuts. We don't even need big supporters to keep the brains of our countries in our countries. And they move. They go to Germany, they go to France, they go to the United States. Why? Now, yes, we need communications. One big step, it was roaming. In certain countries now there is roaming. This is imperative. They have to understand that roaming is essential. Also, we need to convince our governments that they have to invest on automation, especially in the borders, so we don't have lines of trucks whenever they want to enter or exit the country, for God's sake. Each individual market in this area, it's a small market. So it is on us, on the people, to convince our governments that we need to have access in the whole market of the Balkans. Then, yes, then we talk about 50 million people. But each one of us, we are very small. 9 million people in Greece, 5 million people in Albania, 2 million people in Kosovo, 6, 7 million people in Serbia, big deal. Few 100,000 in Montenegro, wonderful place. And not only tourism. I hear a lot the word tourism. Tourism never gave a benefit to the country which accepts tourists. If you see the past 30 years, and I know that because I'm older, these, let's say, earth paradises that they were tourist destinations like Maldives, like Caribbean, like, they're still poor. Nobody becomes rich because of tourism. Okay, yes, it's nice to have beautiful resorts and hotels and tall buildings and stuff. This will not create wealth. So, as I said, we have to see our ecosystem, and we have to make this ecosystem in analogy with our, what we opt about. And nowadays, we opt about green development, we opt about green energy, we opt about artificial intelligence, we opt about all this stuff that it's within our reach. We have wonderful brains here, wonderful minds, and we really have to boost this as much as we can.
You are professor of economics, and you are coming from the public, let's say, semi-public industry. So my question was a little bit about entrepreneurial issues. Do you want to add something to this, or yeah, please? This is
Appreciate what you told about the offer and demand about 50 years ago, when the offer and demand was about equal, and nobody wanted to buy things because they already everything at home. So they were not just ready to replace; they wanted new things. So the story starts about 200 years ago. Karl Marx says factors of production are labor, land, and capital. Well, in that time it was okay. Later on, it was Schumpeter, which says at the beginning of the last century, it's entrepreneurship. It's not only labor, land, and capital. It's not enough. It's entrepreneurship. What I found is that nowadays, even entrepreneurship is not enough. We have plenty of land all around the world which is not used. We have a lot of labor. A lot of people are emigrating and they are not able to find a job, and they are surviving without a job. And we have capital. Banks are full of money and they don't give credits. So we have factors of reduction. We don't use them. What happened during pandemics? Did we use them during pandemics? No. What happened during natural disasters, catastrophes, even during turmoils? Do we use labor, land capital? Even entrepreneurship, we don't use it. What we use creativity, innovation, and standards. So what happened during pandemic is exactly what I am saying. I made a study on that for about 136 countries, and I found a very strong correlation between creativity, innovation, and standards in all of these countries. So countries that have a higher index on creativity have a higher index on innovation, and there are countries where most of companies are certified with ISO standards. And countries that are not well ranked by index of creativity, they are not well ranked on index of innovation, and the number of ISO standards in these countries is very low. Why? Not because they are not creative, but there is a gap between creativity and innovation. And this gap is exactly the gap that should be filled by angel investors, by governmental programs, by projects, or by international financial organizations. But in all of these 3-4 types of investors, business angels are more, more adaptable, more convenient for startups, and even, let's say, more practical. If you deal with the government to have some funds for a startup, there is bureaucracy. And there is no acceleration, and is no escalation in that stage. If you ask a project to give you money, the project is looking to you and requiring to you exactly what the project wants, not what you want as a startup. And again, they don't provide for you acceleration process, even a scaling up process. They just provide for you money because they want something. The KPIs of the project, not KPIs of the business. Okay? So that's the story. When we talk about business angels, they offer mentorship, they offer know-how, they offer connections, they offer financial support. After that, they help you to connect with the others, or they open some other windows for you to connect, not only with the market, but even to connect with universities, to connect with other players on the market. So, by my opinion, the most important thing is to fill the gap between creativity and innovation, and to fill the gap between innovation and standards. You can be creative. You can be innovative. You cannot sell into the market without having standards. Nobody's going to buy if your product or service is not certified. So these are 2 points where we should be focused, even as a business angel forum. The gap, to fill the gap between creativity and innovation, and to fill the gap between innovation and standards.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
First of all, I would like to thank you for the invitation. I'm here to address on behalf of Mr. Bestin Beșe, who is the chairman of the Pan-Albanian Economic Forum. I would like just to invite all of you in a national conference that we are going to hold on the second half of October to include all the diaspora and all the Albanian speakers on the Western Balkans and beyond. Now, turning to our conversation, I will take the chance to continue the logic of the professor. Now we, Albania, Kosovo, and all the Western Balkan countries are taking the chance to profit from the funds, from the European funds. Our countries are working on web provider sector now and the interlink between the businesses and academia. I think that we need to start from the very beginning. We speak mostly for the triple and quadruple helix cooperation, but if we don't sit together and speak together which are our problems and how we can understand each other, businesses, that sector, civil society, and the public institutions, I don't think that we are going to manage to reach something important. In Albania, from my point of view, it's a pity, to be honest, because of the budget found from the government released only from the research and innovation, because it's a symbolic sum. I don't want even to mention it, 0.2% of it. Above that, now we are seeing that all the Erasmus Plus projects are focused on the vet sector, and even Mr. Manos mentioned before that if we don't reinforce and we don't provide to the vet sectors which are the skills, which are the professions, which are the biggest issue that the businesses need to face now, because Albania is now a place that is preparing to access to the EU. We need to know that 98.8% of the Albanian businesses are small and medium enterprises. So we are going to face a huge problem if we don't get the path and if we don't run. Businesses run now. Businesses want to get wider. Businesses want to spread among the world. Instead, the vet sector and academia have, I don't know, let's say outdated curricula, don't allow you to have some alternative ways on how to learn and how to be practical. The distinguished professionist before me mentioned the mismatches, mentioned even the fact that we need to learn more on entrepreneurs and entrepreneur skill, digitalization, etc. But I think that now with the young generation who is now more wider and more focused on the digitalization, we are missing even soft skills because we have a lack of the communication to be professionals. To have those entrepreneurial skills, you need at least to critical think how to manage, how to research, how to do some researches, instead just to produce such short videos on TikTok or other social medias. With the IE exposure now, we are learning, we are trying to learn, and this is helping us, but we need to use it, not the IE to use us. So we need to be more focused and more oriented, how to be more practical, more attractive. Since the very beginning, from the academia, vet schools, and all the startup and other institutions who operate with young entrepreneurs and help each other to make some pitchy comments or maybe to learn how to represent their idea, so they will be attractive and they can compete even abroad. Because even Katrina mentioned before, the geography, it's important, but we need even how we need to learn even how to speak and how to rethink and how to manage to express our idea before entering to entrepreneurship or be an entrepreneur. I'm not an entrepreneur yet, so the gentlemen and the lady before me are professionals about this, but since we are working on different projects and learning from the best practices from abroad, we now know which are the steps that we need to follow to be ahead, even us. But if we don't go step by step and if we don't try to keep the rhythm, I think that we are going to stay a little bit behind. So in this case, I think that if we gather and discuss together and try to find the linkages between us, we will try to have youth entrepreneurship, more creative one, and be more competitive.
He lives in London. He has a business model, business plan, and he needs 200K for 20% of it, and he has set of skills, entrepreneur. She lives in Albania. She has the same set of skills like him. She also needs 200K, and she has the same business model, business plan, etc. Okay? So, as a British investor living around his home, why shall I invest in her but not in him? That was the original question, and they answered this question from their perspectives. I will also answer this question, but shorter than them. My answer is shorter than them. I have two criteria here. Number one, if I invest, what is your name?
Ada.
If I invest in Keda and Keda's business, one, will I make faster exit than London ecosystem? This is very, very important because I am an investor, not a donator. For me, return of investment is more important than the impact because everybody's talking, hey, support entrepreneurs because you are going to create impact and this is good for, okay, this is a good article subject. For me, as an investor, I'm not interested in the impact or the social, whatever. I am interested in only one number, return of investor. Investment will be how many multipliers. I am putting 100K to your business. Can I get, I will give some statistics by the way. Will I be able to catch my KPI in my mind? This is the first question. If I understand I can do it in Albania, I don't care. He is in London, he is very close to me, he is a very good boy, etc. Forget it. I come to number two. So exit is a keyword which we will now speak more about it. Because unfortunately, entrepreneurs, you will witness this tomorrow too, by the way, because tomorrow there are pitchings, isn't it?
Yes.
In most of the pitchings, you will hear nothing about exit, which is the key word for me, by the way, as an investor. You will see tomorrow because I joined thousands of pitchings around the world and more than 100 countries. You will see. Okay, no problem, but they will learn because I will make this comment for their benefit, by the way. So the second issue is, if I make my investment here in Albania, is it less risky? This is very important because as an investor, I know that whoever I put my money, it is risky because investment includes risk. But if it is less risky here, then so let's talk about the exit first round and then what makes an investment less risky for the investor, and is that the case in the Balkans region? Isn't it? So when I say KT business, as a matter of fact, I'm talking about an entrepreneur investing in Balkans. This is what I mean. So that's who wants to take the floor about the exit keyword? Because if I make my investment in her business, will I make the exit? Can I make the exit within the market in Albania, or is it my job as an investor to make exit in Silicon Valley and find another investor? Is it my job? Let's discuss more about it. Katrina?
You know, exit options are different depending on how much you, what's the channel that, or the channel that you use. Because for me as an investor, for example, I've put money in India years ago because it's a hyper-scale growth market. But what I realized after putting my money there for almost a decade, I got an exit offer on the 8th year, and I realized it's so easy to invest in India, but they do not allow you to take your money out. It took me more than a year to exit. I mean, on paper I was already, I processed my exit, but to actually take my money out of India, it was such a regulatory nightmare. So for me as an investor, I want India as a market because, it's a huge market. Farmers, for example, in India, there are 100 million people. It's the largest deployable market in the world, Indian farmers. But when you look at the Balkans, for instance, one challenge for exit here is that I noticed, based on the data that I have, US versus Europe versus Asia, and let's separate the UK. Europe has one of the longest multiples for an exit. Like, we get a longer runway before we finally feel it in our pockets. So how am I able, so in terms of exit, I would look at the structure. Are you asking for my money through safe notes? Is it direct to cap table? Is it equity? Is it venture debt? Is it convertible notes? Because there are different ways to exit. And one of my first unicorns was from Poland, and it was a unicorn in a matter of 2 years. That's such an outlier. But one problem I've seen, that's why a lot of investors do not exit Europe easily, is because in Europe, a lot of startups are also more conservative. Like to the example given by Bybars, for example, UK versus, for example, Albania. Most of the time, based on my experience, if I speak to a European founder, when you tell them I have the money, the negotiation skills go down the drain because they just need the money. Even if, they're very prone to predatory investors because there's more money in the US versus Europe. So in Europe, when they meet investors who are willing to give them the money that they want, what I notice is most of the time, they're not even willing to negotiate. Okay, you want 7% instead of 3% equity? If you have the money this month, okay, let's go for whatever you're asking for. It makes them very prone to, like what I said, predatory investors. And for me, one channel for me to be able to do a fast exit is I have other investors, institutionals, who are willing to do a follow-on. So when you're gonna have investors come in, like angels come in your startups at a very early age, it's a very important question to ask them about their network of investors. How reputable are they? Because like in my case, in most of the family office I work with, not a lot of them would do their due diligence anymore because based on my track record, once I put in seed round funding, they would do a follow-on on Series A, Series B because they know how deep my due diligence is. So exits, usually in startups you have like, we want to forget our money for 7 years. But there are very rare outliers like the one I did in Poland where we did an exit in 2 years. And like what I said, because you're used to answering questions as startup founders, we as investors ask you the questions, but you also have to learn the skill of asking your investors the right questions. Because if not, you might be, like for me, for example, as an investor, I look at the cap table. Who are on your cap table? How many friends, family, uncle, aunts, and friends are there? And if it's too messy, the cap table, it turns me off as an angel. Because I know that the exit is going to be messy with too much family in the cap table.
I don't understand why the exit is better in UK than compared to Albania or to Serbia or to Greece. I don't understand that. Being an entrepreneur and an investor for 50 years, I would say that the exit strategy is based upon upon what we're investing in. I believe that. I mean, if it is something that is very interesting for the whole world, for instance, like a recent startup in Greece which reached €1 billion investment, it has to do with how attractive is this investment. If the investment is not attractive and you are in the States or you are in UK or you are in the planet Mars, you will stay with this investment for the rest of your life. If this investment, if this new idea or old idea, whatever, it's very interesting and profitable, you're going to have a line of people to pay you money and buy your share even 12 o'clock at midnight. This is my experience, not what I read in the books. This is my experience from actual business that I set up and I succeeded or failed in this area. Strictly on what we're investing on. And of course, the people who are handling this, because if these people, as Katrina said, they have issues, the investment is already south before even it starts. But the moment the idea is blossoming, is flourishing, oh my God, I have seen, I remember 10 years ago, no less, 8 years ago, it was the solar business in Greece. They were in lines from everywhere to buy projects that they were not even mature. Or I remember 2005, 2006, 2007, I don't know, a bunch of banks begging to buy banks in this area, like in Serbia, like in Romania, like even bankrupted banks. They were on their knees to buy the banks and pay whatever money they were asking. I was in the beginning of the century in Belgrade, and I saw the boom with real estate. They were begging to buy whatever crap it was available. So my idea has nothing to do with UK or Albania or whatever. It has to do with the product itself. Thank you.
Let's discuss about the types of startups to clarify the issue. Why you are going to give money to the lady in Albania and not in the UK? So, there is the first type of startups is like that. I have an idea. I want $200,000. No one is going to give money to that. You have only the idea. The second type of startups. I want $200,000 because I want to produce something. No one is going to give money to this startup. They want to produce, to enjoy themselves, to be excited. And to excite themselves because they got money. No strategy. The third type of startup is, I started by myself. I made the prototype. This is the prototype, product or service. Can you support me with your knowledge? Can you be present to my company as a business angel, as angel investor? Can you connect me with the others? Can you help me to build a strategy? That's the important. Yes, of course. In these two cases, if one of them has a strategy, I'm going to give money to whom has the strategy, not to the other guy that doesn't have the strategy. And the fourth type of startups, which I really love, is the startups which are aggressive in marketing. They have already the prototype, but they are aggressive in marketing. So they have an exit strategy because they are aggressive in marketing. If they have increasing sales, money comes back earlier. So I'm going to give money to this kind of startups. That's the point.
We are talking about a startup, we are talking about somebody who has a creative idea, who has something nice to show to the world, but we don't have in front of us somebody who is good with administrative issues. And another problem that we face with SMEs in the other place is that it's difficult, I'm talking about the region, it's difficult to delegate. Sometimes the CEOs do not delegate their duties to the CEO or the OCD. They keep all by themselves. And the other thing, if we are talking about a startup, I even have a question. We are calling a startup a new investment that you make, or for a company who is from 0 to 6 years old. Because to have a startup that increases and gets 6 years old, you have to be sustainable in the area. You have to have the willingness to go forward day by day. You have to be creative day by day, because the other ones come and stay at your place after that. You are not to exit to be in a broader market, but if you are not creative or sustainable anymore, you have to exit, and you are going to fail as a startup or as a business. So this is the thing. We have to understand which are the new steps that we need to undertake, and the businesses need to make a step forward than the legislation and the governmental issues, because those are the engine of an economy, of a stable economy. Even regarding the FDIs, if the states instead don't do the aftercare session for these companies who are investing in Albania, for example, how do we understand how this money are getting invested? Where are they going? Are those money formal or in an informal market? So are so many issues that we need to fix, but at least we need to cooperate with each other, and we need to accept and to apply the agreements that we have among us. Major part of the Balkan countries are part of CEFTA agreement, but in some specific issues, CEFTA agreement is not respected.
Dear friends, thank you
Yes.
very much. It
Yeah.
was a wonderful question, wonderful answer. Thank you very much.